Hi again, everyone. We are getting down to the end of the month of August, but football is just starting to crank up and heat up, and we'll be doing so for the next 20 weeks or so once we get going here. As always, UnAnchored Boston is brought to you by Cold Springs RV, your destination for all things camping. And where? We're in New Hampshire, of course. The
Yep.
great George Gray, the big wheel at George Gray's Lexington Toyota, 409 Mass Ave in Lexington. Well, backed by popular demand, we wouldn't want anybody else. We're talking Patriots, person that's as plugged in as anybody is with the Patriots. The great Karen Guregian, the pride of Chelmsford, Mass, the pride of MassLive.com. And Bobby, take it away.
You got it. KG, I love you, and I'm really glad you're here.
I love
KG,
you too, Bobby.
what's this? Whoa, 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 whoa!
No, whoa, whoa. You said Bobby could take over.
I said, what's KG?
Karen Guregian. It's just,
Well, I get that, but is this something you guys got your own little language that I'm not
Our
privy
little
to?
Morse code. No.
okay. My
Have you
dear,
ever called
my,
me that before, Bob?
my
Just
dear friend Karen, is that better, Mike? Ms. Guregian. Okay, does that help?
Okay.
Good. May I proceed now, Mr. Lynch?
Yes, you may go.
All right, ML. Thank you very much.
Mike, I love you too, just so you know.
Thank
Okay,
you.
stop
So,
it.
We have the same color blouse shirt on today.
Oh, wow. No, you were right the first time.
I just want everyone on equal footing. Mutual love all around.
Patriots columnist for Mass Live. You've been to Super Bowls, World Series, NBA championships, Stanley Cup finals, Winter Olympics, pro golf. What pro golf have you covered? And why are you not playing pro golf?
The Masters I've been to a bunch of times.
Oh God.
Is
That
that all
makes
right?
me very jealous.
Yeah. One of my favorite places. I highly recommend Augusta.
On
You've
my
been
bucket list. Never been there.
Yeah, me either. Well, that's because we are where we are. And of course, tennis. What pro tennis have you covered? Just
Uh, U.S. Open.
okay. All right. Well,
Whatever events happened around here a long time ago. Newport, Stratton Mountain.
yeah, Stratton Mountain. That's good. That's really good. Volvo International, right?
Yeah, I was there. I was there for quite a while.
All right. Your fellow columnist at Mass Live, Sean McAdam, also is from Chelmsford. Chelmsford.
Yeah.
Chelmsford. He's covering the Red Sox. You're covering the Patriots. Which team would you rather be a beat writer for these days, the Red Sox or the Patriots?
Probably the Patriots because I don't have to cringe over 162 games.
Yeah.
Only 17.
Yeah. Okay, Mike, you can take it away now. That was my question of the day.
Well, I can go now. Come
Not
on.
quite just yet.
Okay.
Well, here we go, Karen. I mean, we're heading into the final preseason game, and then the season starts after Labor Day. And there are so many questions around this team. And of course, one question that we haven't had to answer for 20 years or so is the quarterback position. And what is Gerard Mayo doing with Drake May? What do you think his plan is?
Well, I think at this point he wants to get every quarterback playing as well as possible. I think I think he wants I think they know the decision, but they want the quarterbacks to compete and progress so that they want every decision to be a tough one. They want guys to work for it. But as I said, we have the veteran Jacoby Brissett, who everyone knows is the placeholder for Drake May. And we have Drake May, the third overall pick in the draft. He's 21 years old. Has progressed. He's not far from being a finished product, but the good news is he's progressed to the point where he's kind of pushing Jacoby for the top job.
All right. How many wins do you see this team getting?
Does that matter?
Wow, that's an interesting answer. Does
Well,
that matter?
again, it's the
Why does everybody come up to me and ask me how many wins do I think they're getting? I, I would never answer, does that matter?
well, if you have perspective, the wins are wins. This is not going to be a playoff team, so the number of wins really doesn't matter. What matters is progress. This is a rebuild, right? It's not like Gerard Mayo and Elliot Wolf can snap their fingers and instantly make a contender out of a 4-win team. But what you have to hope is they've made the correct decisions along the way, that they've drafted the right quarterback, that they've drafted a parcel more of good players with the picks that they made, and that they will develop this year, so that by toward the from the midway point on, you'll start to see, maybe this team could be good in 2025 with a few more pieces in place. It happened when Bill Parcells first showed up, right? And inherited a mess. And it took him a while. It's not like he snapped his fingers and they were a playoff team. They had to build into being a playoff team. And you started to see progress toward the end of that first season. When Bill Belichick came, replacing Pete Carroll, they were a decent team, but I think Bill Belichick had 5 wins his first year.
He did.
If I'm not mistaken. But most of those wins came toward the end. All of a sudden, they beat Miami, and all of a sudden, you started to see where this was headed. That's where you're at with this team. It was a 4-win team last year, one of the worst rosters talent-wise in the NFL. So basically, they're trying to build from the ground up. And if people are going to expect 8, 9, 10 wins this year, especially with the schedule that they have, that's kind of in the clouds, I think.
All right, I'm going to go game by game here, and I surprisingly had come up with many more wins than I anticipated. I believe Vegas over under is 4.5. Is that right? Um,
Yep.
so the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, most people would say automatic loss, but since it's a notoriously slow starting team, yeah. But let's give that a loss. Seattle at home. That they can win that game.
Absolutely. Yep.
They win that game, they're not going to win 5 games.
If they would beat Seattle,
They lose to Seattle at home, they're not going to win 5 games.
Then it's all of a sudden they're like looking at 0-6 and 7. Yeah, I agree.
Right.
But,
okay. Now hold on. At the New York Jets, they can beat the Jets anytime, any place, no matter who's, because they are the Jets.
It's a Thursday night game. That plays into it. It'll matter if Aaron Rodgers is still standing by game 3, because he wasn't standing after game 1 last year. I mean, I think they'll split with the Jets. So whether you want to call that one a win or a loss, up to you.
All right. They lose at San Francisco.
Yep.
They lose to Miami at home. They lose to Houston at home. Then
Yep.
they go to Jacksonville over, and where are they playing? London?
London. Yep.
London. They can win that game.
Of course. So there's 2.
All right. So
Jones is going to come back and throw a game-winning touchdown.
Wouldn't that be something?
The Jets, they can win that game.
All right. So you split with the Jets. So you have 3 wins. Go ahead.
At Tennessee, they can win there.
Yep.
Tennessee's horrendous.
Yep.
They can beat the Bears because the Bears, although he had a sensational game last week, they're still a rookie quarterback. They can win that game. So I got them now with.
That's 5.
That's 5. I get 6. So I have wins over the.
You have 2 wins. You have them beating the Jets twice.
Right.
Not going to happen, I don't think.
Okay.
But that's where we disagree. But I have 5. You have 6. Go ahead.
The Rams at home. I got a loss.
Yep.
At Miami, a loss.
Yep.
The Colts at home is a win.
Good. So that's 6 for me, 7 for
Okay.
you.
All right. Cardinals is a win.
Mm, I think I had that as a loss. And the reason I had it for a loss is if Kyler Murray is still standing there,
Yep.
they've had a notoriously tough time with mobile quarterbacks.
At Buffalo is a loss.
Loss. Yep.
Uh, the Chargers, uh, end of the year, cold weather. Jim Harbaugh, you'd have no idea what he's going to do with that team. He could implode. They could revolt on him. There could be a mutiny going on by that time. I get it as a question mark.
Okay.
And then the last game against Buffalo is a loss. However, should they have their playoff position locked up and don't play anybody? Could it be a win?
I'm guessing Buffalo's going to have to uh, win that game to get, I was going to say home court, to get the division.
Okay.
That's my guess.
All right. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9.
9? Oh, no.
I know.
Yeah. I would give them 7 the most.
Okay.
But again, I'm not looking. I'm not.
You're not looking at wins. You're looking at progress.
Wins are good. I'm looking at when does Drake May come in, and what does he look like in the games he plays? Because again, that's where their future is. That's the future, Drake May. And if he comes in and catches fire toward the end, or whenever the heck they put him in, that's the best sign of all for the Patriots. And beyond that, if a bunch of the players that they drafted, this second round receiver Jalen Polk looks like something, if the 2 offensive linemen they drafted are all of a sudden playing and having an impact, I mean, again, this is what their future is. It's going to be, making up for all the drafts that didn't produce, and going forward. And then again, they basically had to start from scratch, and now they're building it back up. If they get the quarterback with Drake May, they'll be in great stead.
I can't believe
you got to have patience.
I can't believe I'm doing a show that says one guy says 9 and the other says 7. What am I doing? I should get Norman Vincent Peale on the show.
Well, I think Mike was being generous. I was even being generous. I think before I saw their offensive line, I had them at 6 wins, and then it's like, well, maybe they won't get that many.
Well, now you've seen the offensive line. So what? Are you down to 5? And Las Vegas is 4.5. Why would you go against Las Vegas? Whoever wins against Las Vegas?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a betting person. How's that?
Mike, where did you come up with 4 more wins after a couple of weeks ago you said 5?
I reserve the right to change my mind.
Well,
I don't think I don't think their schedule is as strong as a lot of people think it is. You got these 2 LA teams coming to play indoors, coming here in cold weather. One of them is December 29th, and one of the Rams in here, November 17th. That's big. That's big. Those teams come in here. It changes everything.
Right, but the difference is that Rams team might be playing for something when they come in here.
Yeah.
And who knows with the Chargers? Now, I mean, is Justin Herbert going to be ready to play? There's a lot of these variables that the Patriots have been lucky the past few years that a lot of the better quarterbacks that were supposed to play were hurt, and they wound up playing backups or third strings.
exactly.
I mean, there are a lot of variables. But if you base it on the fact that last year their offense averaged 13.4 points per game. And it doesn't appear, I mean, their offensive line didn't get better. It might have gotten worse. Their receiving core is a little bit better, but they still don't have the number one. So, they're going to run the ball, but how can they run the ball with an offensive line that can't block? So, again, it's tough. I think the defense will keep them in games. It'll be a question to see if they're able to score more than they did last year to win some of these games that they didn't last year.
Now, what do you think of the handling of the Matthew Judon saga?
Well, I don't know. I always thought that they could. I can see where he's not part of their future. I mean, 32-year-old. They have young, they have young and up and coming players. Keon White being one of them. And I think having Judon's presence around the young group this year, because he's such a well-respected guy in the locker room, I thought that if they could work out something for this year, that would have been helpful. But they couldn't seem to get on that same page. I think Judon wanted a longer-term contract. He wanted to finish his career here. And he wanted to get paid like an elite pass rusher. And he has been that. But again, GMs, if they're good anyway, don't pay on past performance. They pay on future performance or what's expected down the road. And it's hard to say that Judon was going to be better than a, 10 to 12 sack a year guy, especially coming off a year where he only played 4 games. So I think the Patriots decided, if he wasn't going to be willing to just renegotiate for the 1 year he had left or to give him more money there, then they decided it was best to part ways and just not have this unhappy, disgruntled player in the locker room.
Karen, what's the difference between a Mayo camp and a Belichick camp?
Well, I think, here's what's similar. He still makes them run the hill in the back after practices. He actually has had them in pads a ton more than Belichick ever did. I think that Belichick ran things a certain way, and he operated by keeping people and players and whoever was around him, media included, on edge. But he thought, in terms of players, he thought he would be able to get the best out of them if everyone was fearing for their jobs or on edge. And to illustrate that point, he was hardest on Tom Brady all the time. The best player, the guy who won Super Bowls, the guy who made it happen, Belichick ripped the most. But that's how he was able to keep everyone kind of in line and moving forward. Mayo is closer to this generation of athletes. I mean, he played, he was a player 8-10 years ago. So I think he understands today's athlete a little more, and they can relate to him a little more. He also played. So I think, the vibe in the locker room, it's a lot lighter. I think he's just trying to find out or figure out the balance between being, the good guy players coach, but also having a handle on certain situations. And again, he's a first-year head coach, so he's learning as they go.
Bob and I were talking, and a lot of people have brought this up, not just us, that confrontation with Gerard Mayo and Matthew Judon when he was just sitting down, I think he was on a stationary bike or something. it reminded us of the Butch Hobson camp in Winter Haven
Mm.
when Roger Clemens showed up, and they were jogging, and Clemens had his earphones in and really wasn't paying attention to him. And
Yep.
I can't see a disgruntled player or a holdout under Bill Belichick being allowed even on the field, let alone the property.
Well, they did kick him out eventually. Well, they kicked him out twice.
But in front of everybody, and that's
Right.
those optics are bad.
Right. Well, again, you have first year head coach, live and learn kind of thing. But guess what? Judon's not here anymore. And that might have been something Belichick ultimately did as well.
Yep.
So
I think you're right.
How about Eric Wolf? What was this 8-minute news conference that you guys? I don't know. I haven't seen you complain about it yet, but
what's the complaints? And it's Elliot Wolf.
that's what I say. I mean, yeah, I'm sorry, Elliot Wolf. What?
So what's the complaints? What am I missing?
This press conference was so short. He didn't answer questions. He was evasive, and put a glossy coat on just about everything.
Well, not answering questions, wasn't that the Belichick way?
I'm not asking about.
I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you. I did think he was defensive. I did think he was unsettled answering the questions, a little timid. But again, he's a first-time GM as well. And does he really think, we watched all the practices, at least they let us watch training camp practices. Does he really think he's going to get it by people when he says they have an excellent offensive, that he thinks that, they're good to go? So that part is like a little, Elliot, wake up kind of thing. And obviously he's not going to sit there and badmouth his picks and the people he brought in, but there was a way to go about it that wouldn't have made him look so ridiculous the other day.
Well, there you just made my argument. You said he looked ridiculous the other day, and if I said, "Wait a minute," if I'm asking somebody, Guregian said Elliot Wolf looked ridiculous.
The things he said were ridiculous.
Okay, hello.
Right.
Thank you.
Right. So, did you think Belichick sounded like great when he was answering our questions?
Who was that? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Belichick.
Oh no, of course not. You know what? I'm just saying.
My point.
What about the offensive and defensive coordinators? Are these guys up to speed?
Are they up to speed? We're going to see. It's training camp. You got to see it. You got to see them in games. And I don't count season because they're playing vanilla defense. When you're talking about the offensive coordinator, and the defense really hasn't, most of the same people are managing them. So, and it's still the Belichick defense. So,
how much longer are we going to see 17 regular season games? When are we going to go to an 18-game schedule? It's got to be sooner rather than later.
Yes, as soon as they can humanly possibly do it. Again, I don't like that, but when you're greedy owners, you want the most money you can possibly get.
Okay, so on Mass Live, I read that their Patriot columnist says that Drake May is coming like a freight train.
I wrote that. Yep.
Oh, that's you. Okay, good. I know that, the Patriot columnist at Mass Live.
Yep.
So maybe you can explain that.
Well, he's improved. We've seen from the last game that, the preseason game last week to the practices we've seen, all of a sudden certain things are starting to click in. And by the same token, Jacoby Brissett hasn't looked that great. So the gap is closed. But does that mean that they're going to have Drake May start week 1 in Cincinnati? I don't think we're at that point yet, if we ever get to that point.
Why wouldn't she, Karen? Would it be? Is it because of the offensive line? Is it because he's not ready? Is it because both?
It could be probably all of the above. And again, it depends on what your motivation is. I mean, are you trying to put fannies in the seats? Because if that's the motivation, then you're going to throw the number 3 overall pick in there, whether he's ready or not. Is your motivation to properly develop the kid? And if that's the case, and properly development him means he'll have a relatively secure offensive line in front of him, so he's not getting sacked 92 times. So again, there's a lot of variables in play. I mean, has he looked, head and shoulders better than Brissett, where it's like demanding that he plays? No, it's not at that point yet. But you've seen progress. You've seen things start to click in. They've started to utilize parts of the offense that best suit him as quarterback, Drake May. And as I said, Jacoby Brissett just hasn't quite looked great in the 2 games he's played. So there's one more game on Sunday. I'm sure we'll see both. And it'll be interesting to see what Gerard Mayo has to say afterward. But if I were to guess, I'm not sure there's enough time for Drake May to show that he's head and shoulders better than Brissett. And to put him out there again in less than advantageous circumstances just to get him out there.
But they're married to this offensive line, for better or for worse. I mean, this is what they're going with, and there's going to be a 17-game schedule. So why not just start them out and just all try to get better together, rather than waiting?
Well, first of all, I'm not sure this is what I know what Elliott said, but I have to believe they're going to be scouring the waiver wire and they're going to be looking to upgrade. That's just a hunch. Because but he's not going to. He wasn't going to come out and say, "Oh, they're really bad, and boy, I really got to do something." Even though Gerard Mayo only the week before said that he didn't want to put Drake May out there with the backup offensive line for fear that he would get killed. So, yes, it would be nice to have it all married together and have Drake May out there. But again, I really think what happened to Mac Jones kind of hovering over this proceeding. And they don't want to, I mean, Gerard Mayo acknowledges that they messed up with Mac Jones. And I believe others in the organization believe the same. So I think they're going to err on the side of caution and then some when it comes to Drake May. They don't want to screw up another quarterback.
You're biting on your reading glasses, Bob. Like you look like the guy that used to introduce Masterpiece Theater.
That's me.
Yeah.
So no. So do you? So what do you guys think?
Well, I'm trying to think back to
play the kid no matter what because he's the number 3 overall pick, or what's thinking?
I agree with
Harvey says that because I remember when Parcells had Bledsoe, and whether should they start him, not start him, they're going to start him, and they started him in game 1. I can't remember who the other quarterback was. Zolak, the other quarterback? I can't remember.
That's a great question. Scott Secules?
You might have been. Want me to take you on a sea cruise?
Well, here's the other difference, though. Bledsoe was 24 or whatever. He played his whole career, college career. Drake May is 21. He's had 2 seasons as a college quarterback.
Right.
And that's the other thing. Some of these other, Jaden Daniels is starting and Caleb Williams is starting. Yeah, but they were in college
4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're older and they have at least they have more college experience. Drake May, 2 years. So the talent is there. But again, there's things that he has to work on, that he might have improved on, say, if he was in college another couple of years.
So we think Mike I think he's right. I think he overshot the total wins because I don't, if it's possible for them to win 4.5, it's either 5 or 4 or whatever it's going to be.
I get 8 here on my piece of paper.
That doesn't, that nobody's going to come back and say, "Oh, you thought they were going to win 8 games when they win 3." So I might.
I think they'll get. Look, I think they'll get over 4.
Yeah,
but I'm not creeping much over that. Put it that way.
We did this commercial last time, Karen. Who did you pick to ride along with you across country? Do you remember?
Oh, God.
Because I'm about to ask it again, and I don't know if Lynch's question is about the same, but he might turn it up a little bit. Tell me.
Oh my gosh, I forget who that was.
Probably Bruce Springsteen or John Bon Jovi or somebody. Maybe not. I don't know.
How about, here's a good one, Taylor Swift, because I just want to know.
Taylor Swift, yeah. No, I picked her a long time ago.
Did you?
No, I didn't know. I'm just kidding.
No, we haven't got to the question yet.
I know, I haven't gotten a question yet.
All right, do we have to backpedal on that one? Okay. All right. What else?
What was your favorite Super Bowl?
I had Brady once, and I forget who the other one was, but it was a good answer.
It was a good answer, right? That's good. You've always had good answers. What was your favorite event here? The Stanley Cup Finals, World Series, Super Bowl, Winter Olympics. What did you cover in the Winter Olympics?
I did one in Salt Lake, and I did one in Turin, Italy. And one of my biggest memories from that one was seeing Pavarotti's final performance.
Whoa.
Wow.
A lot of people thought it was he lip synced, but I didn't care. When you hear Pavarotti sing Nessun Dorma, there's nothing comes close to that. And I was able to have that experience at the opening ceremony.
That's amazing.
I saw it today on TikTok, Luciano Pavarotti. You are not going to believe who he was in concert with. Barry White. My first, my last, my everything. Barry White and Luciano Pavarotti on stage singing that song together.
Do you mind me asking you a couple questions, Mike, if you don't for a second? What the hell are you doing on TikTok, and why are you watching Pavarotti and Barry White? What are you doing during the day? This is a good time.
Karen just brought up Pavarotti.
I know.
She was there, and ironically, an hour before the show, I just happened going through it, and there he was. So it's incredible.
It sounded like Karen, didn't he sound like it was a TikTok? Was this like?
It was on. It was on TikTok. Isn't that what you said? So what's wrong with TikTok?
Nothing's wrong with TikTok. It's just not the genre that I would have expected Mike Harvard to be watching during the fact that the Little League World Series was on.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't find TikTok or put anything on TikTok if you paid me.
There you go. That's my point exactly. All right, campers. Can we talk about campers for just a second? And Karen, we'll get. This is all about your personal tastes,
The
right?
floor is yours. The floor is yours, Bobby.
Yes.
Thank you. It's
Go.
the sell-off event is happening right now at Cold Springs RV. Why? Because summer is about to be sold off. Lock, stock, and barrel. First come, first serve for the must-move deals on travel trailers, fifth wheels, motorhomes, and pop-ups. If you don't know what a pop-up is, I'll explain to you in a minute. Cold Springs RV is making room for the 2025 models and must move the current inventory. They also have great deals on the regional's largest selection of pre-owned models. That's pre-owned, owned by somebody else. Okay, I'm explaining. Get to the summer sell-off event in August at Cold Springs RV in Ware, New Hampshire, where it's north of Tingsboro and Chelmsford,
Where
and
I live.
west of
Yes.
Goffstown. Right. Now, there's one more thing about adding the benefits to camping. I know a guy camper lived in New Hampshire, camped in Raymond, had a camper by himself, parked it right next to a camper with a woman, had her camper by herself, and guess what? The question of the day was my pop-up or yours. That's the way it all worked out, okay? So, two happy campers. I'll just leave it at that. Lobel and Lynch, two happy campers ourselves. Or you can check on our online item at coldspringsrv.com. We are happy campers. And now, Mike and Karen, the question of the day. You've had plenty of time to think about it.
What is a pop-up, Bob?
I told you, it's just my pop-up or yours. You just have to experience it.
Okay, Karen, we've had this before. And ironically, last week, we had Leslie Visser on.
Oh.
And she was talking about how she spent 5 days with John Madden riding cross-country in the Madden Cruiser. Just as I was about to spring the question about the Lobel Lynchy Cruiser that is in production right now. But when it's done, you guys, every guest in the show is going to have an opportunity to ride it themselves across the country with somebody riding shotgun. You cannot take anybody who has played for the Patriots or coached the Patriots. Okay? It has to be somebody else in the it doesn't have to be in the football world. It can be politics, it can be music, it can be historian, but somebody that you would like to ride cross country and have a conversation with for 6 or 7 days, and we'll fly you both back.
Wow. Well, gosh, if I go music, it would have to be Springsteen.
Good choice.
Very.
You know, motivation. You love to find out like the motivation behind certain songs, or what if you get the meaning of certain songs and maybe you don't. Fascinating. I used to enjoy watching. I think MTV had this thing called Storytellers on, and they would have all these artists come on and talk about their songs and what was happening in their life when they wrote this particular song and the meaning behind the song. And I don't know, I just kind of found that fascinating.
So your choice is this a final answer, or do you need to call a friend?
No. for this time, I'm going with Springsteen.
Final answer.
Final answer.
Final answer.
What's your favorite Springsteen song?
Oh, too many. Thunder Road. That just comes to mind. Boom.
Good. That's it. Comes to mind. Boom.
Yep.
Road. Now, would you insist that he bring his guitar with him when you're riding in the Lobel Cruiser?
Absolutely. And the harmonica too.
The one that's has the brace around his neck.
Yeah.
The harmonica and the guitar at the same time.
Yes.
Ooh, that's pretty good. Excellent. We've had some excellent answers on this show, Bob. You know that?
We have. It's really interesting. The people, Milbury had Winston Churchill. I mean, it's the people that it's interesting that.
That's another fascinating character.
Yeah.
Yeah, but people it's interesting you find out what's really behind the mask when people pick things like this.
One of my favorite things that I saw when I during a couple of London trips with the Patriots. We get actually stuck over there because of weather, and I went to the Churchill Museum.
Bunker.
Bunker, yeah. Oh my God, that was so fascinating.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, but you learn so much.
It's unbelievable, right? It's amazing.
Yep. But that was one of my. It's like I'll never forget. That was like I thought that was like the coolest thing.
You're right. It was. I'd have to say.
Mm.
You been there, Bob?
I have. Yeah, I really loved it. I mean, I just
Isn't it kind of cool? Like,
cool. It's just so unbelievable that it really happened there. You know, it was that kind of thing.
and I mean, he could have existed there for years in that bunker. You know, cool.
Um, so speaking, let's stay with this London theme. What do you make of football in Europe? Germany, it's going to be in Brazil this year. They've been in Mexico City. London looks like it's locked in. I don't like it because I'm a creature of habit. I hate getting up Sunday morning and watch a game at 9:30. And I just think it messes everything up. But it's not going to go away.
Right. They were in Germany last year. Again, they're they're trying to expand the brand, and if they can get a European market, again,
Yeah.
it's about money. It's not about it's not about necessarily viewers or viewers preferences or whether people back here want to watch them play at Wembley Stadium or wherever. It's about money gained, from abroad. And again, expanding the audience, expanding their scope, generating more money, generating more sales of products overseas. That how many Tom Brady jerseys people bought from in London? I mean, again, that's what it's all about.
Well, you wouldn't see one in Moscow, Mike, because Putin already has his ring.
That's a good one, Bob.
Thank you very much, Karen.
It's a real good one.
You still got your fastball. You're still throwing 95.
That's right.
What is it with Jacksonville? Are they the designated team of Europe?
Yeah.
They stayed for 2 weeks last year, right?
Yeah, I think their owner, Shad Khan, is connected there somehow. So
A pain in the neck. If you're a player, it's gonna be just a major asset to go over there for a week and then have to come back. And I don't know. We fly cross country. It takes us 3 days to straighten out, and we don't have to like run and hit people the next day after we land. I don't know how they do it.
And then it's interesting now that they used to automatically give the team a bye week after they travel. Not anymore. They travel to London or wherever, and they're playing the next week.
Yeah, Patriots are playing the Jets the next week at home.
Right.
After,
so even that kind of travel, they don't really, you can play the next day.
One of the 2 wins over the Jets, by the way.
Yeah. Hey, if you can play Sunday and then Thursday, hey, you can, after you've traveled across the world, you can play the next week.
You know what? That is, to me, I don't know what the word is. Unfortunate is not the right word. That's cruel and unusual punishment on players to play Sunday, Thursday.
And the product isn't good, usually.
Usually.
The product, isn't that good on Thursday night. But it's not, Bob, it's not about what's good for the players.
Yeah.
You get the Thursday night audience, the Thursday night TV contract, again. What can I tell you?
Karen, let me ask you this. Have there been many sightings of Jonathan Kraft at workouts during preseason camp?
Robert has been there fairly often. I have not seen Jonathan. Maybe he's definitely been to the games. But I don't recall seeing him, maybe once, I think he might have been at the joint practices, actually.
Are these crowds at the games typical? I can't remember if this is typical of preseason games when there are just so many empty seats showing up.
Uh, Typical of since Brady left, but not typical of when Brady was here.
Fair. Yeah, okay. That makes,
They had a monster crowd for one of the joint practices against the Eagles. It was like 11
That,
or 12.
the place was packed for that, but sadly, I think people came to see the stars on the Eagles. Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown and Devonta Smith, and
well, does,
it's a contending team.
does Robert, the answer is, of course, he cares, but does he care? I mean, does it matter to him that the empty seats are showing up? Or, I mean, does
Of
he,
course, it does.
I know it matters, but
It's
does
his, it's his brand. It's his baby. It's. Um, but I think he knew the score. I mean, they had a 4-win season with Bill Belichick. So okay, so you're moving on from a coach that helped you win 6 Super Bowls, a legendary coach. Um, it's going to take a while. I think he knows that. We'll see how patient he is though with empty seats, and if again they don't start to see that progression or those signs of progress going forward. Let's face it, if Drake May doesn't live up to the enormous expectations people have for him, and they have to find another quarterback, you know, it's going to be a long time before they fill out that stadium.
What are the crowds like in the auditorium when Gerard Mayo speaks versus when Bill was there?
What I'm sorry, when
You know, the auditorium when the head coach comes in and talks to the.
after games?
Are there same amount of people there, reporters there, media?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
a question? When Mike and Ordway were on together, the day or two after the Tom Brady retirement night uh, in Foxborough, and both of them made the point that Belichick's ovation was out of control, off the roof, just through the roof, beyond anybody anybody's expectation. Yet the edited version, well, this is a secondary question. Let me ask you about that Belichick ovation first. That's part number one. Part number two is the edited version by the Patriots was very similar to the dynasty in many ways. Is that Belichick version was almost non-existent in the Tom Brady retirement tape? Okay, having said that, your comments on both.
First, I didn't know that there was a tape of that, and it was edit. I don't know about that. I just know I was there that night, and um, it was an overwhelming ovation. But I almost think fans saw it as an opportunity to give thanks, for 24 years, 6 championships, 9 Super Bowl appearances. Obviously, it didn't end on the best note, and the team had been steadily going downhill since Brady's departure. But I think somehow simultaneously, everyone who was in the stadium that night when Belichick was introduced, it was almost like let's say thank you. This is our only chance. We're not going to see him. Are they and when will they have a night like Brady's for him? I mean, all these unknowns. So I think it was fans salute to him, and I have to tell you, it made me feel good hearing it.
Yeah, it was pretty powerful. Sitting down there on the field when that happened, and
Yeah, we saw each other that night, Mike.
We did see each other that night. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
that was a spectacular night.
The other stunning, but more surprising to me was the ovation Randy Moss got.
I know he was crying, bawling his
Yeah.
eyes out. Yeah,
He was bawling, but it took me. Like I couldn't figure out that one. Like I could sort of make sense of the Belichick ovation.
Yeah.
And while Randy was great and had that one great year, he didn't leave on the best terms.
Oh.
And the ovation for him was another overwhelming to the point where he's crying. Didn't see that coming.
I think people were saying, "We wish we had you longer. We wish you got a Super Bowl ring in that undefeated season." I'm sorry it didn't happen, but we still love you anyway, as if you played 20 years for us here.
Yeah, we love that one year that fell just short. But when him and Brady, you'll never see another thing like that again. You know, that connection. So yeah, maybe that was it. But for someone who's been here for such a short time to get that kind of ovation, again, it was nice and stunning all at the same time.
You know, I want to go back to the thing Bob was talking about, the edited version of of that night. The original that night was Wednesday, June 12th. The original plan in place was to have that video edited and ready to go a week from Friday the 14th, so the 21st of June.
Okay.
When it was such a resounding love affair for Bill Belichick and almost like a golf clap for Robert Kraft when he came out, Kraft went crazy and he ordered his production crew, every man and woman in that production crew, to work around the clock and have that video ready in 48 hours by the end of the day, 2 days later on June 14th. And that is truth, and that's what happened. And that tells a little bit about the paranoia of Robert Kraft and how much he wants to be like Willie Loman in Death of a Salesman, not liked, but well liked. And we all know that is a big part of his motivation.
Well, what you're telling me is complete news to me. I hadn't heard that.
Good.
But it's interesting, and you wonder if a message was received or not.
But not surprising.
Well, if it happened, probably not.
Karen, what's the picture behind you? I know the York picture behind you. What's the painting behind you?
Of York.
Well, no, I know that one. I saw the painting.
This one? Oh, yeah. That's from the Pavarotti Olympics.
Pavarotti can see TikTok today, Olympics with Karen. TikTok and the Olympics. Pavarotti and Barry White.
Here we go. See, it says Torino.
Torino, yeah.
Awesome.
Ashton lives here.
Wow, I love that.
Nice. Pavarotti comes up big on the show.
Huge.
Yep. You like this one too, the Orr one, right?
Yeah, that's a great one.
That's,
Well, he's another one I'd like to go cross country with.
I think you mentioned him once.
Oh, I used up the Orr dime.
Which is more iconic, the Orr picture of the one behind you, or the fist waving the ball fair? Which of the two?
Probably Orr's.
Yeah.
Only because, well, I worked at the Herald, but a Herald photographer took the picture.
Yeah. It's a great picture.
I don't know. They're both great. They're both great, and they both, or the Patriots' first Super Bowl, the one with Vinatieri celebrating after he kicked a field goal.
That's my question, Karen. I'm so glad you brought him up, because I've asked this question before. Why was not Vinatieri part of the Brady Brady Knight. Where's Vinatieri been during this whole celebration? Where has Adam gone?
I don't know.
Is that a fair question? I mean, isn't this
Well,
wasn't he a rather important dynasty?
I guess. I mean, I don't know, but last time he came back here, every time he came back here in a rival uniform to kick field goals, he was booed. Why would you come back?
I don't know. It was pretty important in you know in the in the game.
Get the I team on top of it, Bob.
Yeah, we need more investigative reporters for all these things.
I thought you would know. Where's Vinatieri been during this whole thing?
Well,
I mean, besides Brady and Belichick, number 3 on that list would be Vinatieri, wouldn't it?
Yeah, they go crazy for him.
Who?
Adam.
Except when he turned up with the Colts and kicked game-winning field goals for them.
He'll go into retirement when he wasn't happy with the contract he was getting.
Say again?
Did you want him to go into retirement? I mean, yeah, he came back with the Colts, and I'm just saying, you got to admit he was a pretty important part of.
I put him in the Hall of Fame. I have him in the Patriots Hall of Fame. He's not there yet, and I would put him in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. No greater clutch kicker. Period.
Right. Thank you. You just made my point exactly. So, Karen, why shouldn't he have been back?
I don't have all these answers, Bob.
Yeah, I thought you did.
I wish I did. I might have had about 10 books by now if I had all these answers.
Isn't that a legitimate question? Where has Vinatieri been throughout this whole celebration?
Maybe there's a simple answer like, I don't know.
Maybe he was in Europe.
Yeah, maybe he had other things going on.
Yeah, maybe.
Let's get him on the show.
Admit, they held it in the middle of the week. So it would be on the 12th.
Right. 6 Super Bowls.
Right.
Number 12 and 20. What is 24?
24. I don't know.
Number of years he played? I don't know.
But because they wanted that cute little date thing going.
Well, what's been the most important sports number in Boston, right? 4. I'm no offense to Channel 5, but 4 between Oregon and Vinatieri.
Well, yeah, that's a good one, Bob. Good one.
Yeah. Bill Walton was number 5 in 1986.
Well, okay, I'm not saying that. Nomar, number 5. Okay, I'm just saying, you want to do numbers? We can do numbers. Let me ask you this: just if we were devising a test for young students coming in to qualify as a sports writer or sportscaster in Boston, what would some of the questions be on the test? Like, tell me about who owned a dog named Blue, or who owned what's no known and what no known and Nanette mean in Boston? What does slaughter mean in Boston?
History, but depending on the age of the person, those things aren't going to mean squat.
Right.
We used to have a thing with interns. Name the 4 general managers of the 4 major, the Red Sox, Bruins, Celtics, and Patriots. And you'd be surprised how many of these college kids flunked that one question. And that got them right out the door.
Yeah.
It was at the sales manager's lawnmower guy's nephew, comes in for an intern. General manager of the Bruins. I don't know.
We took anybody and made them into something.
We had some great ones. Tony Maserati, you worked with for quite a while.
Yep. He worked at the Herald too with me.
Yep. Matt Smith. He's
now with the Patriots, right?
Paul Lucy is the executive producer of the Celtics broadcasts. Jason Wolf ran WEI for a long time. They were all at the same time. Carl Ravitch on ESPN.
Yep.
They were all interns. It was like the 1983 quarterback class from the
Mhm.
NFL.
The generation now that's coming in has no idea about suffering. Like, honest to God. I mean, what is it? 14, 15, 16 championships in the last 25 years or whatever it is,
Yeah.
20. But before that, before pre-2000, it was barren, you
Barron,
know?
86
And
Celtics.
and you have to have that almost like baseline, I think, to come from.
I couldn't agree more. In
Mm,
other words, unless you had it, you don't know what loss is until you don't stop losing it.
that's right.
Hey, if you're thinking about getting a new vehicle, go where Lobel and Lynch go. Go see our good friend George Gray, the big wheel we call him, at George Gray's Lexington Toyota. We've been customers for years because we know that George Gray will treat you right. They're family-owned and operated dealership that we trust, and you can trust as well. Go see the great George Gray at George Gray's Lexington Toyota, 409 Mass Ave in Lexington. George just had his knee replaced. So if you see somebody limping around the showroom or the lot, that's George. You go up to introduce yourself to him, tell him you watch UnAnchored Boston all the time, and he does as well, and he's a big fan. And I know he's a big fan of everybody that's been on the show, including KG, as Bob affectionately calls him. KG. I thought it was Kevin Garnett, but there's a new KG in town.
Well, I am the original.
Yeah,
Just so
you are. You were here long before him,
I
and long after
preceded
him.
that KG.
He certainly did, and he didn't sweat as much as he did either. Maybe he did, but I haven't heard it. So when are you going to play golf, Karen?
Well, I did have a break of time to Bob, and I did play golf, but we kind of were ships passing in the night there.
We were. I offered. I'm trying to get you to play.
Well, now it's like incrementally harder. A lot. There's just no days off.
Just blow off the 5-17 Patriots or whatever they're going to be.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Yeah.
Hey, but I'll be covering golf next week. The women are in town at TPC Boston,
Yeah, that's great.
so
That's good.
I'll have to live vicariously through all these great women golfers who are going to be here.
And basketball is the next Tuesday they're coming.
It's tonight.
Tonight, you're right. It's this
Tonight,
Tuesday,
the Connecticut Sun at the it's sold out, I believe.
Yeah.
How's that?
Pretty good.
I think that's awesome.
Maybe they'll be like the Celtics were and always played 5 games in Hartford. Maybe they'll reach a deal to play a handful of games in Boston. That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Well,
The Connecticut Sun, I saw them once this year live. I was, full admission, I was covering Caitlin Clark that night, but the Connecticut Sun were an impressive team to me.
Was that the game at Rutgers?
And it was at Worcester. No, was it Worcester? No. Where the heck was it? No, it was at Mohegan Sun.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. I
Yeah.
was thinking when she played for Iowa, the closest she got was.
There. But no, this was her professional debut.
Right. Yes. Right.
First game of the season at Mohegan Sun, and that was an interesting thing for me to cover.
I'm so pissed off she didn't make the Olympic team. I know you have to say, well, who do you take off the team? But I just thought that an injustice.
Yeah, and they wound up winning. So what are you going to say? If they didn't win,
by
there would be even more of an uproar.
Yeah, barely won.
Yeah, well, they did win.
They did.
They did.
And now Caitlin
Clark has done it all. She has done it all. I mean, with the assists, she's been remarkable.
She is a wizard on the court.
Yeah.
There's no question. Her vision, again, going back, her vision is mindful of Bob Cousy.
Yep.
It really is. And, some of the great, passing guards or passing forwards in the league, she just, it's an innate sense that she has for where people are going to be, her vision of the court. and where to put the basketball so only her person can get the pass.
Yep.
It's great. And of course, she can shoot from downtown like nobody else. And so she's going to bring a lot of eyes to that,
Absolutely.
to the sport, and not just her team now. People are interested in other teams as well. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, great. All right, Bob, you got anything else?
No, but I'm really thrilled Karen was able to join us today. She's very good, very, very instrumental in acquiring knowledge for all of us. Which is, yeah,
Well, thank you. I enjoy being on.
I can only.
Always fun, always a learning experience. I learned, for instance, today that you were at Pavarotti's last concert.
Performance. Yes.
And you guys learned today that Pavarotti shared the stage with Barry White, of all people.
Yeah.
And that your nickname is KG to Bob. So it was a learning experience all the way around.
Yep. I call him Bobby. Does that count?
So that's good. That Liz used to call him that sometimes, Bobby. And,
I don't think he likes that, but
Yes, it's not true at all.
people would ask me, said, "Do you mind that Natalie calls you Lynchy?" I said, "No. Why would I mind that?" Well, I just think maybe it's not really professional. I said, you should hear what we call each other when the camera goes off. So
Lynchy and Lobel.
Lynchy and Lobel.
Yeah.
Right.
Disabled list. All right, okay. Thanks. Thank you so much.
All right.
Anytime we can make it happen.
All right, and she's going cross country. Remember, with the boss, Bruce Springsteen. Bye, everybody, and make sure you follow us on UnAnchoredBoston.com.
Got it.